Hey guys, some of you may remember this platinum blonde frontal that I made using her hair company's Eurasian hair. And I asked you guys to help me pick my next color. I was kind of conflicted. So I decided on Dante's comment. He said, "You look beautiful in all the colors, perhaps doing a diffused root at level 6 and putting in some blonde balayage dimension pieces in levels 7 and 8. It would be a more natural looking rooted blonde then and more beige golden." I'm a very simple person and I do listen whenever someone sounds like they know what they're talking about, so that's exactly what I did, or at least attempted to do, to create this wearable blonde look. So let's get started. I am using Clairol's Ion Intensive Shine Demi-Permanent Hair Colors. I had 6 boxes and I was mixing colors, and I will explain that. I'm not crazy. I had a reason for doing that. But first things first, I have to put on some gloves. Safety first, protect your skin. You might be allergic. Also protect the carpet. If you have a carpeted area, cover it up. But if you mess up, you can always scrub the carpet with soap and water and it should be fine if you catch it on time. Also, I have some foil on the side that I cut myself in advance so that I wouldn't have to cut as I went. And I have 3 mixing bowls that I'll be using to mix all of my colors from base to low light to highlight. So I'm starting with 6W and 6WR, which are dark warm brown and dark warm red brown. I wanted something warm for my base so I could have a nice shadow root, and also so that it wouldn't look ashy. I found that when I use something warm with my foundations or my powders, my complexion looks deeper, and I wanted that depth with the color as well for my hair. I just kind of used that logic to go with this. And for my next color, which is my low light, I'm using 7N and 7WR, which are medium blonde and medium warm red blonde for the left half of this mixing bowl. And those will just help make the first base color transition nicely into the highlights. And that way there won't be too much of a contrast. It'll be like a subtle transition into a more natural ashy looking color. And I have to clean up as I go, so definitely do that. My next low light is the 7NB, which is medium natural blonde. And I'm using 2 different techniques with my low lights. And the last one is 8N, which is a light natural blonde. This is going to be my highlight along with the platinum blonde that the hair already comes as, bleached as. So I'm mixing in 10 volume developer, trying to estimate how much I need. I didn't measure exactly, but I did estimate, because that's what I always do. I'm not really big on measuring. And I'm also mixing so everything can be nice and uniform. Each bowl has its own brush, of course, because they're different colors. And I want this to be as seamless as possible because I've never colored bleach blonde hair before from scratch. It's just never happened. So this platinum blonde, I was very nervous about when I was picking out the colors, mixing out the colors. The entire process, I was nervous. But of course, you will mess up if you're, going too fast. Just take your gloves off and glove again. That's just how it is sometimes. So this is the hair. I did thin it out a little bit and I trimmed it just a little bit because I figured it would look more natural if I had a lower density than I did before. I just felt like it was a bit too full. I used too much hair. I should have used just a little bit less hair when I made the wig. So this is what we're looking like, and I'm sectioning off into many sections because when you work in sections, it works best. So maybe 6 sections would be good. And what I did, I copied a YouTuber. She's a professional hairstylist. Obviously, I'm not. And I'm going to show you what I did and what I wouldn't recommend doing, which is I went ahead and used that base color all over one section, and then I was going to go ahead and use the low light and highlights. This technique isn't exactly the best because of course it's going to process, and it made it a bit more challenging for me to blend the colors. Also, some of the base color was touching other hair in different sections, so Definitely do not do this because you can mess up and you can get darkness where you don't want it on another piece of hair that hasn't even been processed yet. I made sure I put the foil on and fixed the base color there, really put it in there, and went in with my brush. And this brush is kind of cool because it's like a comb, a rat tail comb on the end, so you can separate your low light pieces from your highlight pieces. And I took care of my low light pieces first and clipped up my highlight pieces to work on later. And I'm just going down, making sure I saturate all of the hair. Small sections work best, so that way you don't have gaps in between. And once I went down to the bottom, I flipped the hair up. So that's all low light going all the way down, and highlight right here, the level 8 on the top, so I can have that little pop and dimension. And I have two techniques that I used for coloring my hair. This is the first one, and I'll show you guys the second one. Working one section at a time, I am starting here with my base color, and I'm using my foil to really help me out a lot. And the foil really helps separate the hair so you don't get color in the wrong places. I'm going in with my low light now, the other low light, which is the 7NB. The other low light, which is the 7NB, the natural color, as opposed to the warm color. And I'm going down with this one up to about 3 or 4 inches from the end, so I can put the highlight at the very end. It's not pictured, but I left the bottom half out and I put the highlight on the end. The frontal area makes it a lot easier for me to show. It's just easier to process and show on camera. So I'm starting with my base color right there, and I'm trying to be very detail oriented because this is the most important part of the head that everybody is going to see. And I'm going as close as I can to that lace. And using the foil for pressure, I put one piece off to the side so it could frame my face nicely, and that won't be colored. And I just started weaving through so I can separate low light from highlight. And I took care of the low light first, going all the way down. And this is the warm 7N7WR. And of course, I'm going in with the highlight right here, which is a level 8. And I have that piece of platinum on the side so that when I take a picture from the front, I can have those really nice golden highlights. And I have that platinum piece off to the side so I can have a nice golden highlight from the front. And I'm going to do my next section, which is the other technique. I have a piece of hair under there that I didn't notice. These things happen, you know, you're going to have hair going where it shouldn't go if you're not careful. So just pick it out and keep going. And I'm doing my base color, making sure I thoroughly saturate my hair. I don't want any blonde at those roots because it's gonna look terrible. And I'm putting my foil to bear down and make it easier for me. It's much easier when I have something to apply pressure to while I'm applying the color, so definitely put the foil there. And I'm going down now with the low light color all the way down, and I'll show you guys first, after pinching my foil in, folding it over, the highlight color right on the ends. So here we are at the top, going in with that base color and making sure I thoroughly saturate, put the foil down, cover again with the base color on the other side. And you see how thin my section is? Very thin. Always make your sections thin so you can thoroughly saturate your hair. And I'm separating the low light from the highlight and going down with the low light. As you can see on the right, I have a piece of hair that has some base color on it from before. That's what I was talking about earlier. And all I'm gonna do is just go down with the base color up to that point, so that way it doesn't stand out like a huge piece of brown, like a big splotch on my low light. And that's all I do. If I have color in the wrong place, just figure it out, you know? Put the color that matches there. That's the color that belongs there now. And of course, on the top, I'm putting the highlight. And that is all. This is what everything looks like. And I'm rinsing my hair out to wash it. I use Flawless by Gabrielle Union's products because they're color safe. Before I start with the Got to Be Glued, I have to make sure my stocking cap is dark skinned like I am, because I'm gonna do the bare minimum. As far as applying powder on top, I'm not. So I have to make sure this stocking cap looks good and dark. Also because the lace was transparent, so I need to have that darkness. So we're gonna pull the wig forward. I really don't need to put some Got to Be Glued on there, especially if I'm not tying my hair up. It's not necessary, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm pulling my hair back, of course, so I can work. And I'm using the yellow Got to Be Glued gel first, just a small amount, and applying it right there along my hairline, so that way I can just slap the wig on there and secure it nicely. Really take your time when you do stuff like this, and make sure you have a nice thin layer, not too thick. And of course I'm going in with my freeze spray, and the spray does a good job of accelerating the drying process. So just a little bit of that, and rub it in as well. And I'm getting the blow dryer to get it warmed up and prepped so I can just stick the wig on. Starting with the sideburn area of the wig, I'm pulling that down first so it can be right above my sideburns, and then pulling all of it forward so that it can sit nicely and comfortably. This wig fits me perfectly because I made it that way. So whenever it's something that you made, it's always going to be so much easier for you to just secure the unit on. When the wig was made by another company, especially if it's too tight, this is going to be a bit challenging. So you're probably better off with a looser wig or a perfect fitting wig than you are with a tight wig. And I'm going to do the front with a brush because I don't want to mess up too much. And of course using the hair dryer, then sticking the hair on. After about 1.5 minutes it should be fully dry, and use your comb to make sure everything is sitting and lying down properly, because just your fingers are too big. You need something that can, you know, give you that extra detail when you're working. And just rub, 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 make sure everything looks good, and move on to the next section. And this is the challenging section, of course, because you have to make sure everything fits nicely. And this is the part where you're usually cutting lace and you're usually doing things to fix everything. For instance, the frontal on this side is just too big and I need to free my ear, so I'm cutting out a piece of hair. Try not to cut the actual wig if you run into this problem and you need to cut out some hair. Do not cut the wig, just go as close to the lace as possible. And this is good. I am just making sure everything comes forward nicely so it can sit beautifully and dry in place. Because once it's dry, you are out of luck. Like seriously, you are out of luck. So make sure you have your wig sitting the way it should be sitting. And I am going to go ahead and use my hot comb to flatten my hair. I did already flat iron it, and I didn't film that part because I didn't think it was necessary, but I like the hair straight. I think it looks gorgeous straight. I put pictures on Instagram and I thought it looked pretty, but I did curl it and I wasn't really happy about that. I would say definitely let the curls drop. Softer curls than these would be ideal. Maybe even wand curls, very soft wavy wand curls. These were just a little bit too tight, but I was happy to have one more curl left. I don't know, like I'm so lazy when I curl my hair. It doesn't even take 20 minutes, but I'm just so excited to be done every single time that I'm almost done. But I curled the hair so the color would be pretty. And you know how people take pictures of hair after they color it? They always have some sort of curls or waves in it. And that's why I did, just for pictures. Even though I do prefer it straight or slightly wavy, that's just my personal preference. It looks too Goldilocks-y when it's curly to me. But I do feel like this blonde is a lot better like this, and when you see pictures with the flash, it looks a million times better. This is a lot more wearable than the platinum blonde, and I'm glad I experimented this way because I'm always nervous about trying things that I'm not very comfortable with. I did not go to cosmetology school, so this is not exactly my area of expertise. Hair is always an experiment for me. Please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and check out the other video on this hair, how I made the unit. Thank you so much for watching as always, you guys, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!